Hyper-Bitcoinization is inevitable. Today, we'll take a look at some of the indicators of adoption from S-curves and other research numbers and catalyst events, right, that push Bitcoin adoption forward, like the Super Bowl or even what is going on in Canada as well. With no further ado, let's jump right into it. Double O.
Champion.
Yes, sir. How you feeling today, man?
Feeling great.
Dude, I have to say, man, before we begin this thing, there's something that is bothering me. My beard is uneven. Okay? I went to a new barber. Obviously, I have a new barber because I just moved here. And I just gotta say, man, there's something about it. Like every time I see myself, I can tell. Maybe people cannot tell, but I'm hiding it as well. But
it's a black screen, so nobody can see it.
Yeah, man.
Maybe that would feel better.
Exactly. The beard is uneven. I just want to say that. So I keep looking weirdly. That's why. But anyway, man, we're talking about something interesting today, man. Adoption.
Is that? Right?
But before we jump into that, let me just put this out there, ladies and gentlemen. Please, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, like, share, and of course, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We have the handles down below: STAKKFin on Facebook and Twitter, and STAKK Crypto on Instagram. So, about this adoption thing here, Double O. You know, we've been talking about crypto adoption for a little bit now. We got into Bitcoin. We started seeing the trends, right? There are other OGs who've been talking about these things for way longer than we have. Mm-hmm. And there is data that shows adoption of various technologies across time. I think Bitcoin is no different. What do you think?
Yeah. I think a couple of videos ago we compared Bitcoin to the internet and the adoption rate of the internet.
Yes,
and
this is true.
Fortunately and unfortunately, the Bitcoin adoption is actually moving a bit faster than the internet.
I think Bitcoin adoption is crushing the internet growth.
But the fact is this: the internet changed our life, and we believe Bitcoin will do the same.
Absolutely. So, you know, one interesting thing that's been happening recently, and along the lines of that adoption, we can see that crypto is becoming more and more mainstream as time goes by, right? One of the interesting things, we have some research that shows certain numbers, right? In just with the Bitcoin growth. Jeez, I can't speak today. But we know that at this point in time, right, the crypto market cap is at $3 trillion. No,
it was at $3 trillion last year.
Well, it was at $3 trillion by the end of 2021.
Yeah, but then we got bid up to like 2.6 or something trillion right now.
Well, it's fluctuating, man. Nothing is steady. We'll put it at an average.
You know something that's going mainstream though if you see it on Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Super Bowl is where all the big guys come out.
That is where a lot of things happen, right? And so it says cryptocurrency's popularity has recently skyrocketed. I don't think it's recently, it's been continuous. But with these Super Bowl ads, big players in the market continue to try to make digital currencies like Bitcoin more mainstream. And of course, we had, by the end of 2021, there was that $3 trillion market cap, which, things have kind of taken a dive a little bit, but nothing too aggressive.
Yeah. We got this little piece from the NPR article that came out on the 14th.
This is the thing. The tone towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies seems to be slowly changing, right? As we're seeing, especially from media outlets, right, and big investors as well. So, the Super Bowl ads that happened there, I just think that was a massive boost to the adoption of crypto, right? Because there are people who, they see it now on TV. It's right in your face. And I think one of the best ones was Coinbase. Now,
Coinbase.
People feel differently about it. There are people who are on the other side and they're like, oh, that was horrible. That was a bad idea. But look, man, if you put a QR code on the screen for a few moments and your website crashes because over what I think was like 20 million people scanned the code and which landed them on Coinbase app, which essentially crashing the app. I would say that's a successful marketing campaign. Probably the easiest but most successful marketing campaign.
Hey man, I got a lot of ideas from that, man. I think I'm gonna just start using just QR codes for everything.
Dude, I think
just splash it on your face.
I mean, it is the way, bro. If you have a QR code of your Bitcoin wallet, you could just post it on, like say YouTube, for example, instead of, contributing to your favorite channels through YouTube, which to take like, I don't know, I think it's like 30%, right, in commission. You could just put a Bitcoin wallet code, and people can just scan and send you some Bitcoin.
I would say though, QR code again is one of those technologies that people didn't believe would be successful, just like the internet was, just like the Windows operating system was. So if QR codes become this huge success, what says that Bitcoin itself will not be a huge success? And here's a question out there for the audience. Are you using QR codes? Are you still slacking on that? Because that is a major technology on itself.
I think, for me, the way I see QR codes, I think it's really come into play with the use of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, because it's usually the biggest way that's really where you come across it a lot. Mm-hmm. That and authentication as well. And the use cases can go on for so long. So, yeah, absolutely. I think that's pretty cool. Now, here's the thing. Even though we're in this space where we're seeing all this massive adoption, right, coming up. Right. So, for example, other than the Super Bowl situation, you have other situations happening around the world, from inflation to what's going on in Canada, that keeps pushing, right, people to get into cryptocurrencies. However, it seems that there's a group of people that just seem to want to fight this evolution, right, of money, if you will. One of such people will be someone like Senator Sherrod Brown, right? And this is one of those situations where the politicians repeatedly show us how little they know about cryptocurrencies. Don't get me wrong, some of them have spent time learning about crypto, but when you have someone like this who comes out, right, he says, "I don't think I've ever seen in 40 years of Super Bowl watching the Federal Reserve buy a multi-million commercial for US dollars." Sherrod Brown ripped into Super Bowl ads for cryptocurrency, criticizing them for not mentioning fraud, the scams, and outright theft. It sounds like a hater to me.
I mean, it's very simple. The Federal Reserve buys the entire commercial on TV anytime they want to come up. They get to come up anytime, so they don't even need the Super Bowl for that. And who goes to business advertising some of their risk or their issues to the public? You advertise the best of the best, and hopefully that allows you to overcome your risk. Again, this can go to a big different topic, politics and their influence, their latency in getting up to date with technology, the age of folks in politics, which is way behind in terms of adoption or understanding technology. That's another topic on itself. The fact that institutions, the current old institutions, have bought them out to fight against newer technology that is innovative and is better for the people. I mean, the list goes on. And again, that's just a little in there. Democrat from Ohio. In general, people just say, "Oh, I'm a Democrat, I'm just going to vote Democrat." "Oh, I'm a Republican, I'm just going to vote Republican." You got to vote across party lines sometimes if something is innovative and it's going to make your life better. So Absolutely. If the Democrat is out there telling you, "Oh, crypto is not good for you," do you just say, "Oh, because it's a Democrat, I'm voting for him," and your life continues to suck? So there's just a lot of topic that we can talk about this, but we'll just keep it simple for this show. That's just a fellow Democrat. Well, I'm not a Democrat. I don't give a care about any party that is just out there telling you crypto is a scam.
Well, I've not been known to be a Democrat type, but here's the thing. I would like to add to that a little bit here. If we go back to that slide there real quick, one thing, because one of the biggest things I'm really trying to zero in on is education, right? The general public must be able to learn the right things about cryptocurrency to be able to use it correctly, right? One of the reasons why people are not succeeding with the fiat system as well is also because of misinformation, right? And when there's all this misinformation, right, or the fact that a lot of information is not put out to the public, people do not know the truth or cannot really adequately educate themselves, right? And of course, you also have governments that will lie about certain things they're doing. So let me take down the first point here. He says he's never seen the Federal Reserve buy a multi-million-dollar commercial for US dollars. Well, this is not the ads that we saw at the Super Bowl were not ads for Ethereum or Cardano or a specific coin. You understand what I'm saying?
Wasn't.
The ads we saw at the Super Bowl were ads for exchanges. This is an equivalent to TD Ameritrade, right? Advertising their app. This is equivalent to Bank of America. How many bank commercials have you seen, right?
A lot.
These banks
centralized exchanges too, by the way.
Exactly, right? So these banks are advertising their product. We had centralized exchanges that advertised their product. Their product happens to carry cryptocurrency. It's not the same thing. So that is the first point I'll point out there. Absolutely wrong. The guy does not understand what is going on in the first place. Number 2, fraud and scams, okay? You can drive a car, and if you get into an accident, it could kill you. But we're still driving cars. Yeah? When cars are advertised, they don't advertise cars and say, well, you get my point, right?
All the EVs that they were also advertising during the Super Bowl. Why did you talk about the EVs catching fire?
You know, so there is a level of hypocrisy here. And I think that really getting out the correct information to people is very important. We'll move on.
By the way, before we move on, one of the objectives of STAKK is exactly what you just mentioned.
Stagnation.
Getting the information out there, asking questions, and that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that one? Let us know in the comments.
Yes, sir.
So, despite, the naysayers, right, and we're going to get into more of those naysayers here, we can see that there's studies showing that there is more and more adoption, right? So you can see the actual data. So a study done by Grayscale Investments found that more than half, right, 55% of investors who currently own Bitcoin began investing in them just over the last 12 months.
Just a year ago, man. Imagine that.
If I've ever seen adoption, that's it, right?
That's super fast.
I think this is also something that is important to note because we're definitely going to touch on this again towards the end. A study by Pew Research Center found that 16% of Americans have either invested or traded or used cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin or Ethereum. That's only 60% of America, and there's a lot more people to go, right?
Yes,
and you'll see why once we get into the STAKK stuff coming up here. All right. Now, the other piece of this puzzle in the adoption situation here is institutions, right? We know that for the longest of time now, institutions have been essentially not paying any attention to Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies up to recently, where we are right now, right? And that is ranging from people like Charlie Munger to Mark Cuban. What are your thoughts on these people jumping into the space right now?
I mean, Charlie Munger, for all people, he missed out on investing in Apple, in Windows and Microsoft. I don't even think he invested in Google.
He missed out on Tesla as well.
Oof, talk about that. Talk about that.
Actually, well, he's kind of one of those people who's been kind of, naysayers of Tesla. And Elon actually made a tweet yesterday where he kind of called out Charlie Munger. And, in the tweet, he says, he was at a dinner with Charlie Munger and other people. And Munger essentially explained all the reasons why Tesla was not going to succeed. And his response was essentially something along the lines of, well, I agree with the ideas, with all the reasons why we can die, but it doesn't mean we should not try anyway.
Yep.
I think, look, man, the guy is obviously a very rich guy, but I think there was a point in time when where what he was doing stopped being investing, per se, and more moving the markets. And I don't think he's someone that I'll take any advice from, because for someone who called Bitcoin rat poison and some other ridiculous things that I don't want to repeat because I don't know who says things like that. But at this point in time, he's throwing a lot of money into Bitcoin, or into, at least into a company that is very Bitcoin friendly.
Well, a bank, as a matter of fact, $1 billion into a bank in South America that is the biggest adopter of cryptocurrency. And
Of
most
course.
recently, they invested in Activision, which is the very, very recent news. And Activision is a big play on NFTs and cryptocurrencies.
But, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I have to ask you something. If you buy a company before the news comes out, then release news that you have invested in that company, then other people start buying it because they believe in you, right? They believe in you. Would you call that investing?
Insider trading?
I mean, it could be insider trading, it could be market manipulation, it could be pump and dump. You know what I mean? Because this guy, look, we know it's not like it's something that is hidden anymore, right? We know that he buys before everyone, right? Articles get released about him buying something. He's not buying it before, he's not buying it with everyone else. He front runs everyone, and he has the ability to get out before everyone. So I don't call that investing.
Yeah, what you just said is a big play into the next topic, which is our analysis. Because when you have big money, you can enter the game late and still kill it. I mean, when I say kill it, make a lot of money at it, right?
Yeah, this is true.
That is where, and that is where we go with this right here, right?
Well, I will say this though. I think it's going to be a bit different for these guys when it comes to Bitcoin. It's going to be tough. Yeah. So what we're looking at here then is the S curve. Is this there? This is not the S curve, but the product adoption curve.
Yeah, it's bell curve. You can use it.
Right.
It's also called the bell curve. Yeah.
Yeah, this one is the bell curve here. The S curve is kind of like going upward. So you have these 5 phases, and people kind of jump into any one of these 5 phases here.
Depending on your risk, tolerance, you can fall in any of these categories.
Yeah, depending on risk tolerance, depending on your level of knowledge on the subject matter
or your investment.
Right? Yeah, and this applies to various technologies over time, right?
Yeah.
Where would you say we are with something like this on Bitcoin?
I said, given everything that we just talked about, the back and forth, the investors, I think we're still in the visionaries, because if only 16% of Americans, well, by the way, it's America. America is not the world. The rest of the world has been up to this for quite a while. But if you say Americans, I think we're still in the visionary space, like majority of Americans. If I talk about the masses, if you allow me to generalize, I will still say they're still in the visionary phase, trying to switch towards the pragmatic, especially after that Super Bowl. I think we're still very early stage, man. Come on, 16% of Americans have fully invested in crypto. Yeah.
Speaking of fully invested in crypto, I think there was something we had that said Mark Cuban says 80 or 90% of his investments
of his portfolio
in crypto.
That's aggressive.
I think that's a lie. I just think I think if someone believes that, hey, I got a couple bridges and a zebra hanging out somewhere in Africa, which I like to sell to you. Right. So, the chasm. I think we're kind of. I agree with you that we're kind of close to that, at the top of that visionary phase there.
Hey, audience, tell us what you think. STAKK Nation.
Yes, sir.
Where do you think we're at? As an investor, though, I've been burned by being an innovator a couple of times. So I think I would like to be in the visionary, pragmatic phase when I invest, and not be late to the show. Which is one of the reasons why I think I'm investing in PLTR, like cross fingers. I invested in NEO, and NEO made me a lot of money, even though it's tanking right now. I got NEO at $6.
I mean, I think, look, man, innovators, like you said, first through the door always gets kicked in the face. Speaking of that, think about the guy who was like the father of DeFi guy.
Yeah.
Talk about a kick in the face. Look at XRP. Right?
Yeah.
Locked up with the SEC forever. Meanwhile, everyone else is just rolling with the same thing.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely in that early adopters phase as well.
Yeah.
Just because of how much because I think one of the things that happens to cause that early majority phase is things like the technology is going mainstream, right? So like the Super Bowl ads and things like that, they all help to push that adoption to the highest point. And of course, as more functionality comes out, or let's say the tools to make interacting with whether it's Bitcoin more easy, become more mainstream, then it becomes easier to use. Now, what is this chart here? Because this one confuses me a bit.
Yeah, this is the Gartner hype curve. It's also called the S curve in a way. It's one of the things that they teach you in grad school or business school or as a CEO of a company. If you want to figure out where should you be updating or adapting your company into, if you want to invest and be ahead of your competition. Right. And we'll look at blockchains, for example. This is from July 2021. Gartner releases this every year. So if, let's say we wanted to start a business in the crypto space, where do we want to make the most money? Are we too late to the show? And if you're looking at this right now, right? If you're thinking that, I want to get into smart contracts. Smart contracts is way at the peak of inflated expectation. So everybody's implementing smart contracts now. So it's not giving you any unique advantages. But hey, it's a good entry point, but most of the money has been made, or most of the innovation has been made in terms of smart contracts. It's just that it needs to now become fully adopted, or it's now fully been implemented, which is that plateau of productivity. Like, we're inventing here, we're now using it on a daily basis here, right? So if you're investing into NFTs, right? NFTs is at the top notch. It's past innovation phase. It's not at the peak of inflated expectation. We can use NFT for this, we can use NFT for that, but then start implementing, and then some of them will die along the way. And then the ones that survive will be the one here. So when you were saying earlier about, Warren Buffett and his boy Charlie investing, they sometimes don't care about all these faces here. They figure they have all the money. So when it becomes productive and it's consistently making money, there's no high risk or whatever, you invest in Apple because Apple's for real now. It makes money all the time. I can just toss my money at it. There's no risk in that, right? This is true. But if you invest way early, some of them don't even make it out the gate. So let's talk about this decentralized web. You're still in the early phase. We're using Brave. Would Brave make it? Just like Netscape never made it? So which one of the decentralized web solutions will make it through all of this to now become the standard go-to, like Google, Chrome, and Firefox, and so on and so forth? So
I think that decentralized
continues.
web needs to be built on Bitcoin, but I'm biased. Carry on.
Yeah, exactly, right? Ethereum is still centralized, right? Layer 2 solutions, right? IoT. That is one of the reasons why I'm still very big on IoTX. I'm super early into that, but it's in that innovation phase. By the time you get to that consistency, if IoTX makes it, then the big money will now come and say, there's no risk for them. That's what some of the big money investors do. Right.
Well, first of all, I would say this. I'm not 100% sure where we are on this curve, from my end. Second of all, a lot of this, what would you say, altcoins, right? IoTX and the likes of it. I think a lot of them make sense as a company.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's almost better for them to just be classified as what they are, securities, and show the data and the stuff that they're working on, the same like you would with any stock, right? Whether it's Tesla or some energy company, you can research what they're doing, look at the numbers, and have some protections of some sort, right, in the crypto space. Yeah. But at that point, I feel like that it's transparent, because a lot of them use this word decentralized on their website, and it's just not the case. But either way, the adoption is growing, and I think that these are things that we will improve on as we go. You can't have it all on day one. Is what I'm saying? Yeah. Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please let us know in the comments, what do you think about adoption? What do you think? What phase on the S curve, right, or the bell curve do you think we are right now with Bitcoin, right? and we'll be glad to reply to your comments. Thank you for watching our videos. Double O, any final thoughts, sir?
As always, we appreciate your time for watching our video. This one's a little bit longer than usual, but it's one of those times that we gotta get that education and that knowledge out there.
Hey man, listen,
Bitcoin adoption continues.
I prefer to give out the information for anyone who wants to listen, and be able to engage with people. It's awesome. Yep. So, listen. Until next time, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. STAKKFin on most of those, and STAKK Crypto on Instagram. And until next time, Brazen out.
Double O.